Man, a little Bodine's on the way in.
I was going to say little runaway. Little runaway.
Runaway. Teenage Hideaway. Is that it?
And not away. Yeah, good song.
HFR from
Milwaukee's
the Matrix.
Milwaukee's finest, right?
Yes, and played on my folks' farm, Matt, at the Bon Voyage to Heffest 2018, the Bodines.
Wow. That's cool.
It was solid afternoon.
The Heffest. What kind of food did you have? What did you have? Food?
Oh, dude, Heffest every year. First of all, the shrimp mojo, like several colonies of shrimp smashed, and I'm going to show something on it. Then a full pig. My brother was in the restaurant business, right? And so listen, that's such a key, man, to have in your crew, like somebody that was in the business that ran a restaurant, especially for big parties, right? Because they know what to do. How many people?
They know how to do it, right?
Exactly. We're going to have 300 plus. All right, no problem.
You're going to need blah blah blah.
We're going to need 10 cases of ribs. Okay, we're going to need a full pig. All right, we're going to need 30 pounds of shrimp, and there will be fist fights for the shrimp, guaranteed, 100%.
Fist fights.
And how many kegs? Well, that depends. That depends on how hot it is. Honestly, all these things got to be brought into consideration.
Just like trading.
There's a lot of moving parts, Matt. A lot of moving parts. Speaking of moving parts, the economy now, Philly Fed manufacturing index, looking like sickle cell anemia here, Matt. Not good. No bueno.
No.
And also Twitter's down, right? Oh, wait a second. We're streaming on Twitter. It's not down. Tech employees let go from January of 2022. We call this a parabolic move, Matt. If it was anything else, we're going to get to Tesla, Lee. Why wouldn't we? But I think the interesting thing on the whole Twitter thread, 7,500 employees, Matt, now down to 750. And everybody's saying that the site's going to crash. There's no way. There's
Rob Reiner, Dan Rather, they're all blathering on about
these.
Can't wait to dance on the grave of Trump. Can't wait to dance on the grave of Elon. Blah blah. Oh my God. Well, all it's taught us is that we can get rid of 90% of federal employees and nobody would miss them.
I was just going to say, Matt, it's amazing. Like when the federal government shuts down, there is zero difference in your life for most people. Zero. And
that's that's the test we should actually try right here. Is we should just, we're cutting 90% of the jobs. And,
is this a policy you're going to run on?
I would run on this.
I'm not a job creator. I'm a job eliminator.
I am a job creator, but you're going to have to go to the private sector to work. You're going to have to get a real job.
All right, let's look at.
Not only are we cutting 90% of the federal jobs, we're going to cut 90% of the educational jobs on the higher ed level too. We don't need 1,000. What
here for sure administrators, and this is the other thing I saw too, like and I didn't know this, in the military we're super top end heavy also, like that military budget. And the colonel that I shared yesterday from Dave Collum, the colonel pointed this out. Like we have way too many colonels versus foot soldiers in the military. That's what he said anyway. Not coming from me. Guaranteed probably. Let's bring up Tesla because I think it's a good segue on tech. Because like Elon has no other avenue to smart techie people, like with Tesla and with SpaceX. I mean, he can send a rocket to space and then land it on a barge in the middle of the ocean. I think he can figure out tweet messaging. I don't know.
I'm just coming with the big chart here. I'm going to come with the long-term chart. COVID low, Bob. $26.
And point of control. And point of control.
Point of control is below $26, all the way down here to $15.
Holy shit.
So if they want to, if they want to make a run on Elon, Rob Reiner, Dan Rather should be shorting it as it's 1, 2, 3rd, 4th time we've been here at 175, right? Today's a kind of an important close, and this was a high. This was the all-time high, by the way, September of 20, when it first, took off from the COVID lows of teens and went to $420, of course, just about. Of course, that's where Tesla stopped on the
420.
post-split.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it?
And again, we're in a hole here. There's really no support right now until 145, 150. That's really the next level. I don't see these little needle bottoms and needle highs holding. I think this thing has to go to at least here, which is this little spot here, this little pimple. And it's just a pimple. And we were spending a lot of time at this pimple at 220. Like that was a battle for, for really the last 6 months. So this name is heavily held. He's got a lot of fans, got a lot of fanboys, he's got a lot of fans.
And that's all fine, but the reality is
well, I'm just saying this chart I don't want to buy. I don't see anything here I want to buy is all I'm saying.
No.
If you're trading
and by the way, that's a giant bracket. Even if you took out that run to the highs and back, it's still a giant bracket.
If we fractal out to, let's say, a 1 month, to
fractal in.
No, because we were we were fractaled out, correct. If we go back to August, so we're looking at 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 months here. Again, well below value. 220 is that level. We just talked about how that battle was happening at 220 and failed. So that is now the basement is now the ceiling, right? So the levels here, even here at once, we went down to 174. But even if we get back to 220, there's a lot of people that are they would be happy to sell again that are buying down here, right? Or the ones that were trapped and now they want to buy. So I don't see anything but pain still coming for this name. I don't. And I wonder if Rob Reiner and Dan Rather have turned in their Teslas that I'm sure they own. And I'm sure it's parked underneath their Ukrainian flag that's in their, outside their garage.
I actually feel sorry for Rob Reiner. He could never. It's like Ned Beatty. Ned Beatty after Deliverance. It's like, dude, I'm sorry, we can't cash.
Well, no, that's not true, Bob. He was a huge director. He's made more movies and more money than God. So
he's meathead to me. So
he is, well, but he's not an actor. My point is he's made some really good movies, But there's no crying in baseball and there's no crying on Twitter, motherfucker. Like he should be saying that to himself. There's no crying on Twitter, and all he does is cry.
Yeah. All right, let me let's go someplace else here, Matt. I'm going to share this. We're going to talk advertising today. Because narratives, right, have to be driven by creative advertising. And I think the Democrats, for sure, for years have been way better at in deploying Madison Avenue assets, right, for their narrative, because their outcomes have not been great. And I bring this up, like, were there any better advertisers than cigarette advertisers, like the lung dart? Like, this shit's gonna kill you, right? And they knew it. They do it for years and years and years, but their advertising was insanely good. Alive with Pleasure, Newport 100s. And, Super 70s says, 1 minute you're smoking in Newport, the next some hot chick has her foot up your goddamn shirt and you're planning out a threesome in a hammock. Thank you. Thank you. Alive with Pleasure, Newport and Madison Avenue. I mean, they could sell, the old adage is, Matt, is they could sell an ice cube to an Eskimo. And so we got a few names we have never covered, other than Google and the tech advertising space. We got a few names to go over, Matt. Let's kick it off. You're du jour on the four names that we have for advertising.
All right, and we are going to fractal out. We're doing it reverse today. And since we haven't looked at these, I like to get the macro. We're going to start with Interpublic group of companies. And again, COVID low, 1167, 3991, 12.47, paying a dividend, 3.5%. So, again, these guys like to sell ice to Eskimos. And
it's an old firm, Matt. 1930s it started in, I believe, in New York City, a real Madison Avenue.
So you want to fractal way out, right? real way out. This is going back to the 70s here, 1972. So to your point, it's been around a while. At least they're paying a dividend. It's not huge. It's not Philip Morris dividend style, but this monthly chart, which has taken us back, 50 years, is bullish. Doesn't look bad, Bob. Matter of fact, that how about that COVID low?
What a ping.
I mean, it pinged the point of control. I mean, if you were paying attention again in your long-term charts, that was a beauty. That was a nice setup. OMC. We're gonna come back to OMC, and OMC is Omnicom. Horrible name.
It is. In fact, I cannot believe they haven't traded their name or changed their name. Like, and they got to be saying, why do they have to call it Omicron? Like, who's going to invest in Omnicom Group? Again, New York City-based agency specializing in global media marketing and communications. I'm getting all this information, by the way, from fanandchill.com. Fanandchill.com. Matt, let's talk price discovery, though.
Well, again, this is a 610 chart at the top of the profile here, at the top of the value zone up here to 79. So it's been bullish, for the last, again, going back to September here. So it's had a huge run from 61. And this thing kind of trades in a pretty tight range, 61, it's been as high as 90 back there in the early 22. But I would suspect, again, with people cutting back on expenses and marketing and advertising going forward, this is probably going to be the best you're going to see in a while here, price wise. I would suggest 3.7, at least paying a dividend if you want to own it. I would look for a pullback, to 66, something like that. Might be more attractive. 15.75, so a little bit bigger than Interpublic. That's kind of what I see there. OMC, Bob, was another one.
Yes.
Excuse me, we're looking at OMC. TTD, which is kind of a newer. But this is, I think, more digital, right? This company was flying high during the COVID days. I remember trading this one quite a bit. Let me just bring in like the daily chart. 114, and I think it's split at some point here. Was the high here last November, and it is 24 billion, so almost as big as the other two combined. So this is kind of the big daddy trades. No dividend being paid here. It doesn't look like the revenues look okay. They just had earnings. They bumped off of that. They were better than reported where it's better than estimated. 400 million basically in sales a quarter. So they're doing about a 1.6, and again, trading at 25 billion. So pretty lofty for advertising company. That's pretty fat. They're paying almost a 15x or so for revenues.
Yeah. And we get to the last but not least, the one that we argued about.
Yeah, but that one, again, if that one, you could probably maybe wait for $20. The COVID low is way back here, and it probably will go test it, I guess is my point. Not looking particularly strong on a daily chart. It's been trending down for quite a while. It's been cut in half plus. Got down, 114 down to 40. Bounced here on the earnings, but only got to about 55 and sitting right now at 50. So it's already come off that level. And the last is this little small, company that, it's just a slow death. Which is, Americana, meaning the old billboard business is dying, Bob. I know Bob wants to be he's a.
Listen, I'm all over what
he's very
Gilbert. This is a Gilbert Draper right here.
This is a sentimental buy for Bob, but he somehow wants to take the dollar into the ground, I guess. So if you
Clear Channel, what it is, 450,000 billboards across the world. Their problem is $5 billion in debt. That is going to be a real problem.
It's a little bit of a problem.
A little bit of a problem. Thank you, advertisers. That's what we need. What we need always is content. And so advertise. Matt, back to advertising. Matt, we talked about yesterday, like the political cartoons are so good because a picture sometimes, and not very much verbiage, is worth 1,000 words. I just want to share this. Mind You TV shared this little shrimp picture, right? And it is blown away any other picture they've ever shared. 135 likes, 14 quoted retweets, 7 personal retweets or whatever the hell they call that. Do yourself a favor, cook someone a meal, and for God's sakes, man, I've been saying it for a year now. Buy some Shrimp Mojo, and you'll be able to create incredibly gorgeous looking and delicious shrimp. All right.
Make sure you get the Village Baker strata bread with it.
Yes.
Some fresh Kerrygold butter, please.
100%.
And then you got yourself a meal, Bob. Then you got yourself a meal.
Listen, I didn't want to go here, but as I'm going, I wanted to just make sure that I brought up the beautiful views from Mount Bachelor. We got an inversion day, Matt. Cloudy here in Bend, sunny up on Mount Bachelor. If you're available to go skiing, it'd be a great day to go do it. Get out of the mist.
Yeah.
And go up there, Matt. I wanted to share this though, just for a second, because your content, you supply so much content for the show, and I just want to thank you because not all of it makes the show, right? And so it's awesome. The Ukrainian soldier who fired the missile into Poland has been identified, Eric Borin. And then I didn't share this, but this is the narrative, and Madison Avenue has been really pulling its hair out on how to spin this war better, right? And so that, the guy at NATO is saying, or the diplomat is saying, this is getting ridiculous, trying to spin this. And then everybody has just about McFucking had it with all of it. So just a few shares from your feed to me that don't make the show, and I just want to take the time to acknowledge.
I sent one over to you also that showed, after the missile, because it was just a map of Ukraine, right?
Right, exactly. It's like
Russia's over to the right and Poland's over here to the left.
It's like the scarecrow. This way's a good way, this way's a good way too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like Alec Baldwin aimed it not at Russia, but he aimed it at Poland, I guess, to your point. But it wasn't his fault because the handler told him to do it. It was pin the tail on Poland. They were trying to play pin the tail on Russia, but they sent the missile to Poland instead, which is the opposite direction, by the way. So they might have to go back to basic training 101 there for the Ukrainian soldiers, because the reality is not what the mainstream media is telling you at all.
No, it's all stories. It's a story. Let's just say what it is.
That story, and it's one where unfortunately we don't have a lot of people with context in that part of the world, so they can do with this. Much like Afghanistan, nobody's been to Afghanistan. Nobody has friends in Afghanistan except Afghanistanis.
Yeah,
nobody has, and it's the same. Just think about this, logically. Why do you think they're doing it in places like this?
Well, we've said this before, especially in the Ukraine. It's because it's a resource-rich environment.
Well,
Matt Mozart, thank you, Cooper. Sir David J. Cooper sharing this. Mozart had a song called "Kiss My Ass." See, I wanted to bring this up because cycles really happen, right? And so Mozart was sick of it all back then. It's a canon in B flat, Matt, and in his native language, lek mish im arsh, kiss my ass. Thank you. I just wanted to bring that up because it's funny. It's funny. Now let's talk crude for a second here.
Before you do, while we're on tech stocks, there are some, again, we talked about a tech stock, when the Chinese stuff was blowing up, and I'm just going to bring it back because it's been 3 weeks. And we mentioned Baba the day that it traded down into the 50s. I said, you got to buy it here. This is like the puke. That was the puke. Everybody was, I'm like, listen, Alibaba's not going out of business in China, just like Amazon's not going out of business today. So at some point, you got to buy it. That day, if you pick some up at $60, 61, 62, well, we just ran, my friends, 33% up to 85. And if you have not taken some profits, I encourage you, I implore you, I ask you to take some profits. Don't be a pig. Please, that is a huge move, and it happened in 3 weeks. You just had a 33% return in 3 weeks. Take some off. And you know what? If it pulls back to $70, then you can buy that, whatever you took off back, and you won't be kicking yourself that you didn't sell it at 80 to 85.
Exactly. 100%. All right, man, I want to talk crude, and I want to just talk just a little bit about the standard deviation modeling and how the nuance of slope influences my thought process. All right, we've talked about this before. You're looking at areas to buy, long-term bullish setup for crude. And let me just share this because it's imperative right now in the standard deviation modeling, because we're just starting to kick the slope on the weekly to the downside, meaning expanding potentials to the downside. And I've seen so many times in commodity trading, when this argument happens on a longer profile level that you're going to like and want to participate in, but when the slope on the standard deviation modeling is falling away like this, it becomes, all I can say is when this happens, you better be respectful to the risk that you've established to this trade because of what the standard deviation modeling is telling you. I'm not saying that low won't hold or can't hold on a profile basis, and for sure I'd want to participate, and I do participate in longer time frames on the profile, lows of value ranges, things like that. But I'm also cognizant of what that standard deviation modeling is looking like, and do we have collapsing potential to the downside? And I got to respect that, and then therefore I have to really respect the risk that I've attributed to whatever trade I'm putting on. It's just a little nuance on. Conversely, Matt, if we fall down to the low end of value and it's running into a what I call a collar, that lower Bollinger Band with an upward slope to it, so it's like catching it. So now you have, and that's just, it's subtle. And you got to respect your risk either way, but more so when I see something that's got falling away potential on that modeling. Anyway, little nuance. Fridays we always do nuance. We never do anything on any day, always, ever, but I like throwing that in there. Like we always talk tacos on Thursday, not Tuesday.
I was thinking about like how the Democrats just are like dancing all over the supposed graves of their, their hated red party. They're in full blinded party mode right now. And to me, that just tells me that something bad's going to happen to the Democratic Party real soon. Just the brazenness right now that's going on, and so many of these elections still haven't even been called. I mean, we don't even have a mayor officially here in our town, and we've been mailing in ballots for 20 plus years I've been here, and we've never not been able to call the winner the next day. Like, this is the first time in my 22 years I've ever seen this. Like, we still have not called winners in so many, so many of these contests. So that's just a gut feeling I have, but just the brazenness and it's almost like your little brother who.
I don't have one, by the way.
You are the little brother. So it's almost like the time when you upset your oldest brother. The one time you finally beat him and he just,
Well, that's very, very difficult to handle that. Yeah. Like very, very difficult in my circumstance anyways. Did not like that whatsoever. Yeah. And Matt, let's talk college football. I know you got a full slate. We got a full slate of college football here. And
we're running out of weekends.
We are running out of weekends. We got,
in the college game. So it's somewhat bittersweet when you get to this time of year, because we only have a couple games left in the regular season. There's really no postseason in college football. There's only 3 games. Well, there's all the bowl games, but the problem with the bowl games is nobody plays in them half the time anymore. So it's a totally different thing, except for the final 3 games, the semi, and then you get everybody playing. But because of the portals and the transfer portals, and nobody wants to get hurt, and the NFL combines, which is now an event in itself, we've got basically 2 weeks left. We got maybe 2.5, 3 weeks of regular season games. But I've got 9 games for you this week, Bob.
9 games. All right, let's paint the picture the way it is. Matt was above 500 every week until 2 weeks ago when I mushed him. And he was a loser last week. He broke even with a tie, so all we owed was the vig. Right. But a big palette here, 9 games. I can't wait to hear them. Let's go.
So we're going to start in the ACC, and we're going to go with a dog. And I can't believe they are a dog, but Duke is underdogs against the Pitt Panthers at Pittsburgh. So maybe the local fans, Pittsburgh is 6-4, Duke is 7-3. Pittsburgh has been playing well, but 7.5 against a Duke team that has won some pretty interesting games this year. I'll take the points. I'll take this. They're my super dog for the week.
I think that's gotta have some weather effect, right? The Buffalo snow has got to reach.
Well, it's been warm though. It's been warm back east from the Midwest over to New York. So I don't know. I have not looked at the weather, so I cannot. And again, you got that big storm in Buffalo, so I don't know if that's coming down to Pittsburgh, Bob.
Right.
Sometimes those Lake Erie storms do make their way over to Pittsburgh. Then we're gonna hop over. We're gonna hop over to the Big Ten, and I got a couple games for you. I got Michigan State at home hosting the basketball school, Indiana, and they are a basketball school again. They're predicted to be number one in the Big Ten this year. And Michigan State got no love in basketball, and they had a great game against Kentucky this week. So with that momentum on campus, I've got to say, take Sparty. Minus 9.5, given 9.5 against the Hoosiers.
I love, I'm not sure anybody has ever worked that thought. Listen, there's a lot of campus momentum with the basketball win. These football guys
they're still, they got something. Yeah, they still got something to prove after the Michigan debacle, after beating the crap out of the little guy in the tunnel, the big brother little guy. And then let's stick to the Big Ten. We'll just kind of do this conference wise. Next, I have your old coach, row the boat, Minnesota Gophers, -3 at home against Hayden Fry and the Iowa Hawkeyes. I can't believe it, but I got to give it to, I got to roll with PJ. He's hurt me a lot this year. He's not been good to me. It's not been consistent.
PJ, fleck on your betting strategies.
But I'm going to go row the boat in the ice in the tundra of Minnesota. It is at home, final home game, I'm sure, maybe of the year against Iowa Hawkeyes. Maybe finally putting a fork in Hayden Fry. I don't know. So take the Gophers -3 at home. Then we're going to hop over to the Big 12. Once again, TCU, the number 4 team in the college football playoff, getting no respect, none. And I've been right. I mean, I literally have ridden this team. I think they're undefeated against the spread, and every week they cover it every week. This week they're given only 2.5 at Baylor. Now, I also told you this before we came on the air. The game is at Baylor. They're given 2.5. Baylor's 6-4. TCU's 10-0. Every game is tough, right? Now you're in the football playoff. All you have to do is win out, and then win your division title, and you are in the semifinal game. That's a lot of pressure for 18 to 25-year-olds. That's a lot of pressure, especially if you've never had that. They've never had that at TCU. So I'm telling you to take TCU, but potential slip-up game. I can see it. I really can see it. And then I'm going to go. So that's the first 4 games, Bob. And you're not going to believe this, but I'm actually slicing it up with 5 Pac-12 beauties coming up. 4. We've done 5. Or no, 5. 5 Pac-12 games coming up. And we're taking favorites on all 5. All right. We're taking Wazoo, Washington State at Arizona, who just smashed and upset UCLA. I'm not buying the Bearcats' success. They're still Arizona. Wazoo is going to come down to that nice weather in Tucson and smash them. It's only a 4.5-point game. They're going to smash them.
I actually like that thread, and I like the thread the other way too. When a warm weather team goes north and has to play in the cold, but you're right. It's Pacific Northwest, shit weather. We get to go down to the sunshine. We're going to be feeling good, and we're going to smash these guys. I like that.
Then we're going to stay in the warm confines of Tempe, where Oregon State is traveling to. They're a top 20 team. Nobody gives them any respect, though. Nobody's talking about Oregon State being the best team in the Pac-12. I think they could still win the Pac-12. And so I'm rooting for, and I think that Oregon State only giving 7.5 at Tempe against Arizona State. I like that game. I like they're probably the most consistent, solid team in the Pac-12, even above the next game that I'm going to talk about, which is USC and UCLA, the intercity battle of LA, right? Intercity battle of LA. And USC is only giving 1.5 at Ookla. I mean, I got to take USC. I got to take the Trojans. Fight on at the Rose Bowl with the 42,000 fans, because they'll bump it up from 30. There'll be a little extra.
I'm going to go over under on that at 44,000.
Well, it's the intercity game. I think you might be able to jack it up to 70 for this one game.
You think they pack it? I don't know. That's a
no,
good
70. Packed is 110. So I'm just saying 70.
Got it.
60 to 75 would probably be where the line would be set. We'll see how that turns out. No bet made on that one here. Then we got 2 more games in the Pac-12. We got Cal giving 4 against the Battle of the Bands, Cal and Stanford. Now these teams are back to the Battle of the Bands. They suck. Maybe we'll have the Cal band screw up the Stanford team at the end of the game, and maybe Cal's going to win this one. Cal giving 4 points over a hapless Cardinal this year. Take Cal Bears over Stanford Cardinal. And then finally in the night game, the special, again, hometown special, Utah versus the Eugene Dirty Huge Ducks, the Dirty Huge Ducks. And I asked you, who do you like? And you said,
I like the Ducks.
So with that in mind, I took Utah 1.5.
Right on. Hey, Matt, I think you took the over last night on Aaron Rodgers at 7 yards. Did you not?
Yeah. How do you do? I didn't watch any of it.
I don't know. Lee, can we get Aaron Rodgers rushing yard? I don't think he made a rushing attempt yesterday. I know he got sacked.
Yeah.
So I think we went under on Aaron Rodgers with the line at 7 yards under. And that's a good prop bet. If we're going to get this to track, Matt, we're going to get one of these betting apps to let us do some prop bets, and just let the prop bet be a pari-mutuel style bet. The app gets to rake 2%, and then it's just with money and against money. So if there's $10 bet, they get 20 cents. Is that right? They get 20 cents. If one person bet with and the 9 others bet against, you win all $9 if you're the only one. It's just easy math.
So here's the deal: there was 19 rushes, and none of them have a Rodgers name on it. So he was under 7 yards.
And I wonder, in the stats, is his rushing negative?
No, he didn't. There are.
He didn't get sacked, and he didn't rush.
No.
Right on. All right.
56 yards on the under. I think the book would have made a lot of money on that. I like that bet. I like it a lot. You called it out. Perfect.
Yeah, and part of it's like the gimmick bet. You need somebody that's entertaining, like you and I, right? To give interest in the bet. Like, I'll bet you. You want to make a bet?
You gotta hype it up.
Right. You want to make a bet? You want to make a bet? I'll bet you. You want to bet? Anyway.
You got to torment them. You got to torment them into the bet.
Right. You want to bet? You want to bet they suck? You want to bet? You want to bet?
All right. So this week in the NFL debacle, we have one double-digit fave of, and that's coming early on Sunday. The Ravens hosting the Baker Mayfield, and I got to say I love this bet. When Baker Mayfield's playing, you fade him all day. So Baker Mayfield getting 13 will get smashed by Baltimore Ravens. I got a feeling.
All righty. I got a feeling deep inside.
So there's your one pro game. There's your one
pro game. Funny.
We're making it hard for you.
All right, listen, Twitter seems to be working fine. There were a couple of great threads last night on this whole thing collapsing without all of that IT weight. Wait a minute, it's still working. I guess they didn't need me. How about the funny thing too? I think, and I don't know this to be true, but from what I read, I think that he sniffed out an insurrection, and that's part of this story. Like there was going to be an insurrection, and so they said everybody out of the building and locked out, and we're going to only let people back in, right? That they thought were not going to be insurrectionists and try to take down the platform. Again, I don't know this to be. This is guaranteed, probably.
Yeah.
but the person they had to fire and then ask back in was the person that managed all the key codes.
I mean, listen, I think that, I'm sure what happened is the Homer Simpson of the Twitter headquarters was willing to come back for double the pay and turn it back on. Like it was not that big of a deal.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Right.
Thank you for saying.
If he can, again, back to your point, if you can land a rocket on a moving target in the ocean, I think you can leave the app on. I think you can figure it out. And you know, especially if, and you know what? I think Twitter will end up being probably just like WeChat is in China. People are going to be doing transactions. They're going to be doing payments. Again, the hate is just showing me that it's going to be bigger and better than anybody even thinks. Like this
You
thing,
know,
when
we should, here's a prop bet.
like when it comes public, it's going to come public at 150 billion.
Exactly.
100%.
There's the over under. Like, is it less than a year or more than a year from when he took it over to where he takes it back public?
Yeah.
He fixes it and then takes it back public. Massive ring on the way out.
I mean, if you can do it with Tesla and
all right. So what do you think? You think I think it's more than a year before he takes it public.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna.
I want you to guess. Let's go over under more than a year.
I would say, yeah, more than 2 years.
More than 2 years.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right, man. We got the holiday week coming. And so it seems to me that the holidays have started. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And I'm not sure how much new price discovery is going to happen in the next 6 weeks here as we round the year out.
You know, unless Alec Baldwin misfires and you know.
Well, for sure, Alec Baldwin with a missile in his hand could cause any type of problem imaginable.
Correct. Hey, you know, you did want to talk a little bit. You wanted to touch base a little bit, I think, on crude.
Well, yeah. Well, I just showed that standard deviation modeling. Why don't you bring it up on the profile, and let's circle back to that, Jen Psaki. Let's do some circling.
So again, we've been on the lower end of this value zone for quite some time, and really, to me, it looks still like, you know, really as long as $70 holds down here, it would have to like fill this hole and then get below here on a weekly close, which doesn't look like it's going to happen today. Today is the end of a week. You know, tomorrow, or you know, maybe they'll do it next week. It's a holiday week. Maybe they can jam the price of crude down a little bit more. Maybe they're getting a break because Biden pardoned MBS. Everything's good there, right?
Matt, to be clear, what is the low end of that value range?
This end is like 75.
Okay.
But I'm saying this really needs to hold. And really, frankly, the 61 low has to hold. So to me, that's still the big number. And if you pull back a little bit further, if you kind of go back to, here, this is where Joe Pa took over, and we were trading $53, basically a barrel that week that he took over. So, $53 we're still, last I checked, we're at $78, is still up about 60%. So stop saying that you've made oil prices lower, because it's not true. Not true at all.
All right, man. I like it.
So this profile, again, you go back to this profile and it's $60. So that's why I said 60 is still kind of the number for me.
Okay, perfect.
And the point of control is here at 72. So a lot of support coming in here, Bob.
And by the way, giant ranges.
This is a couple of years of people that were buying on the way up here. So you got a lot of hands that are happily would be willing to pay these prices down to 60 coming in.
Okay. All right, that's what we got. MarketVitals.io is our community. Please visit it.
But don't forget, it was 50 when he took over. So just keep that number in mind, right? If he gets it down to 25, then he can start pounding the cheerleading and go crazy. But we're not there. We're not there.
We are not there.
We're 60% higher today after, coming off half a price from the high. So all I'm saying is don't get too excited here. Nothing's really, it's bullish, still bullish.
Please visit us, Matt, MarketVitals.io. Share, retweet, plagiarize if you like. DMs are always open, right, Matt? DMs are always open. If you have any particular symbol that you want us to cover. Also, please visit Amazon.com and let's buy some Shrimp Mojo for the holidays. You're probably too late to get it, Matt, for Thanksgiving. Maybe not. Prime delivers in a couple of days.
If you're in a big city, they're pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. But for sure, you're going to need to order it for Christmas and New Year's. Champagne and Shrimp Mojo. It's like a standard for my celebratory occasions. Or Prosecco. I can go there too.
Yeah.
I can go there too. All right, Matt, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Bob. Have a great weekend.